Hi, my name's Scott Thomas. I'm the volunteer tech director at Holy Family Church in San Jose. And I've been getting a lot of questions about how we do our streaming. So I thought I'd take a moment to shoot a video here on what you need to stream your masses or any other event onto the internet. So we use Facebook Live. You can also use YouTube and other services out there. But that's just the platform we decided to go with since we already had a Facebook page. And so to stream, you need to be able to get video onto the internet. The most simple setup is a smartphone. And you can use the Facebook app, or YouTube has a streaming app, and you can just point your phone at what you want to stream and go live there. Now, in an event like a mass, there are other things that you probably want to take into consideration. So that might not be the best way to do that. But you can still, you use what you have. And when we started, we basically compiled a list of things that we already had. We didn't buy any expensive equipment. We did buy a few little things in here and there to improve. But we started with what we had. So we have our cell phones, our smartphones. We have a computer, and we have a sound system that we could plug in. And so I'm going to step you through, how we are currently streaming, and know that there are many other ways to do it. There are lots of other resources on YouTube that can tell you how to do that. But let's go through what we have. So we're using a couple of iPhones tethered with a long lightning cable into our iMac that is running the eCam software. Again, not an endorsement. They didn't give us anything. We're paying for a subscription just like anybody. But that's just what we use. So I want to tell you what we use. And I'll put a link down below in the description of this if you want to check them out. But they allow you to tether your phone directly to the computer using your Lightning to USB. You can use the cable that came with your phone. We found we wanted a little more length, so we found on Amazon some 10-foot cables that are made for iPhone. So look for that. It's called MFI, that logo made for iPhone if you're using iPhone, to make sure that it will charge and it will actually send the signal. So you plug your phone in. It's going to ask you to trust the computer. On your phone, you type in your passcode, and on the computer, you go to the phone settings and trust it there. So that gives you the signal. So you can actually see on the computer here the video we're shooting coming right from an iPhone here, shot by Chris Marsich, our youth director, who normally sits here at the computer during Mass and runs it for us. So that's kind of the first thing you need. Then you need a way to get a good audio source. You can see I'm wearing a microphone. That's so I can get a nice clean audio. You could use the audio from your phone. And if you're in a space where you're close enough and there's not a lot of reverb in your space, that could be enough. Again, use what you have. But most churches also already have a sound system. You have a mixing board somewhere, and you have your wireless mics. And so you can take an audio cable from an output of your mixing board to something like this. This is just a simple 2-channel USB interface, audio interface. It's class compliant, so it doesn't need any drivers. If you don't have one of these, I bet someone in your parish does. Ask your musicians. They probably have something like this. See if you can borrow it. So you just plug that audio cable into it, and then it's USB into the computer. And you can see here, you might be able to see on the video, the little green line there is, I get a little meter there to tell me how strong my signal is. One thing to keep in mind, you're going to be coming probably a line level out of your mixing console. And we plugged it into the microphone input because it's an XLR cable. So your gain's got to be turned all the way down, and set your levels accordingly. If you have a digital board that you can run a tone through, and just get your levels set so that you know you're going to get a nice clean signal that's going to be loud enough but without clipping. Because a microphone input's going to expect a mic level, which is a different level. So just be aware of that. We could plug in using a different kind of cable, but it's just easier to do XLR cables. Okay. So that's how we get audio into the system. Okay. You see here we have another computer. This is how we do our lyrics and our prayers so that people at home can participate, okay? You could do this all within the same computer. You can even do text overlays in eCam. If you're already using PowerPoint as your, for your projection system in your church, or using it in your office or whatever, most people have PowerPoint or Keynote, something of that. You can create your slides and bring those right into eCam. You just drag the file on top of it, and it will let you page through it. If it has trouble reading the PowerPoint natively, you can export as a PDF and just page through it like a document. But that will, unless you size it, it will take over the whole screen, which may be what you want, but we want it to be a little more stylistic. And so we're using a separate computer running Presenter Pro. And, excuse me, ProPresenter. I always get that backwards. ProPresenter. It's basically, it's used, it has a database of songs that you can enter in, save the songs, so you don't have to build slides all the time for each mass. So once we have a song in there, I can add the song to a playlist, and it's really easy. The computer behind us there is actually the computer we use for our projection system. There we're using Easy Worship, and that's what we use to project onto our screens. We could feed Easy Worship in here, but Easy Worship only allows you to have one output, and so we wouldn't be able to put anything on our screens, and so we wanted the ability to do that. So ProPresenter lets you bring things over with the alpha channels already set and all that. So if I go live with something like here, you can see it brings up the lyrics in a nice stylistic 2/3, and we can just arrow through that and bring up the next lyric. So this computer has to be connected on the same network, and ProPresenter needs to be set up with an NDI output. So that's a network display interface, and that's how that shows up. If you, there are times where we do still go full screen. So like for the Creed, we'll go ahead and bring that up. Of course, I didn't bring up the Creed. This is our active spiritual communion. So we can do this that way. We can get other things set while the camera is obscured, and the team can receive communion here. So, so that's how you can get words on screen. Again, use what you have. If you don't have another computer, you can run the software on the same computer. It's just easier for us to have it on two. But if you don't have something like that, use PowerPoint or a word processor, type it up in a document, multi-page, and you can feed that into eCam. So a couple other tips. You want to have your cameras on a tripod. So if you're using a phone, you can get something like this that screws onto a standard tripod, and it has a little spring load so it can fit any size camera. Use whatever the best phone you have. The latest phone will have the best camera. We go ahead and record at 1080p, 30 frames a second, even though Facebook only will broadcast at 720p. But we save it as a recording and also put it up to YouTube after the fact. So it gives us a higher resolution for those that can't join us live, or that can't join us live and don't have a Facebook account. Now with Facebook Live, you don't need a Facebook account in order to watch that. So just be aware that you just need to send the link out and that will people will be able to view it without logging into Facebook. They just can't participate in the comments and things like that, but they can still watch the stream. So if you have a video tripod, it allows you, basically that's a tripod with a head on it that has kind of the extender arm that lets you do pan and tilt nice and smoothly, so that if you only have one camera, for example, and you want to switch from the presider over to the ambo and do that in a nice smooth motion. If you have two cameras, two phones, you could plug in two cameras. So you can see our other tripod there. We just have that as a steady shot on the ambo, and we switch back and forth between there. And I think that's it. I think this has been long enough. Gives you an idea of what we're doing. You start with what you have. In the beginning, we didn't even have internet access into our church, so we ran a really long cable from the office into a switch here in the church so that we could plug the computers in. We've since identified, hey, we should probably have internet in the church, and we figured that out, but it took a few weeks. So best of luck with your streaming. If you have questions, feel to reach out to Holy Family Parish. They know how to contact me, and hopefully we can ask your questions. Otherwise, put some questions in the comments below, and I'll try and get to those as well. Thanks. Happy Easter.